What's up, everybody? This is Gloria Ward. Look at how many people came already. You know what? That is so exciting. I'm so happy that you guys are here tonight. We are going to have such a great and amazing show. And I know that a lot of lives is going to be changed. As you can see, I have a wonderful guest that I'm going to introduce you to in a little bit, who is the most amazing person that I ever met. And when I tell you that each and every one of you are going to learn something so amazing tonight, I guarantee you that you're going to get so much value from this webinar. As you can see, we had to set things up real nice for her. I'm not in my little space either, right? I wanted to make sure that the stuff that we get tonight is something that you can take with you. So what I did was is I got everything set up where you will be able to get this recording on iTunes, on Spotify, so that you can take it in your car and do all the wonderful things that you want to do with it. So I thank you guys for being here tonight. I thank you guys for just coming and sitting and talking with us, and we're going to talk about how to overcome circumstances. Now, the lady that I have here, her name is, I call her Miss Jackie, but her name is Jacqueline Thomas, and she is a certified counselor who has really changed my life for the better. And when I told her that I needed her to come to help us uh, uh, get through some things with our project, she was so willing to jump on board so quickly. Um, I just didn't really believe it in the beginning, but once I had my session with her, I was so blown away that I already adopted her as my mom. I try to hang out with her every chance I get. I try to make sure that I'm around her, because some of the things that she has revealed for me, I just knew that I had to, share it with everyone that was here. So, Miss Jackie, thank you so much for being here.
It's such a pleasure to be here. I'm happy. I'm excited to share with you and with your audience. So
Yeah,
thank you for having me.
I'm super excited because I know when we talk about, trying to uh, overcome circumstances like in our life, what I wrote was that, sometimes, we as women, and you talk about this all the time, how we just don't put ourselves first.
That's
We are always trying to do things for other people. And when it comes to our dreams and what we want to do, we're not, we don't believe that we will be able to achieve those things because there's so much stuff that comes up. And I just want you to share some of your knowledge, with us, and kind of, teach us some of the things that, we need to do when we're trying to go through when circumstances come up. Like, what are some of the things that we can do? And how do we actually start to approach when it can be like simple things?
well, just to get started, there's a lot I could say,
Uh,
but one of the first things I think that we all, as women, need to do is begin to put ourselves first,
mm-hmm. I believe that.
because society has taught us from children that as women we had to put our children first, and we had to put our husbands first, or family members, our jobs first,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and that's okay, to have them in our top priority. But the one thing that I learned over time was that we have to prioritize
Mm-hmm.
who and what comes first.
Right.
And Gloria has heard me say this before, but we have to decide what our values
Right.
are and prioritize our values. And in doing that, for me,
Mm-hmm.
just to give you an example, my number one priority is God, my
Mm-hmm.
faith. And my second priority is me.
Right.
And so I have me as my second priority. And it wasn't always like that, but I learned,
Mm-hmm.
is because if I cannot take care of myself, if I can't take care of me, how can I begin to give you the best of me
Right.
to my family, to
Right.
my friends, to my job?
Mm-hmm.
So I have to put me first and not feel selfish about that.
Right. And that's the thing that I was saying that is so hard to do, which is try to put yourself first. But before that, what I learned from you about rewriting values is you said, that when you're young, you learn all of these values. And then all of a sudden, once you get older, these values you still carry with you that probably don't even serve you anymore.
That's right. The thing about values, we get to change
Correct.
as we grow. Our values will change. For example, when I was younger, I thought I was going to live forever and be healthy forever.
Right.
And so healthcare my wasn't one of my top five priorities.
Right.
It's up there now.
Right.
But we get to change our values when circumstances change,
Right.
people in and out of our lives change, and then we change as we grow and
Mm-hmm.
our values change,
Mm-hmm.
to fit where we are at in our lives,
Mm-hmm.
what season we're in our
Right. And that's another thing. When you talk about the seasons that you are in your life, because um and guys, what I want you to see and understand is that we when she says that, we need to be able to put ourselves first and not be selfish about that, that's a very hard thing to do. And we all know that that's a very hard thing to do because we weren't taught that, right? We're taught that we are supposed to put everybody else first, put your kids first, put your husband first, put all of those things first. And you find yourself just, running around
life. Right.
doing everything for everybody else, but you're not taking care of you. So when circumstances come up, you really feel like you don't know how to handle them because you haven't done the work within yourself,
Right.
right?
Yeah, I mean, think of it like when you talk about bankruptcy. A lot of times we think about it just, in financial terms,
Mm-hmm.
but we can become emotionally bankrupt and mentally bankrupt when we don't take care of ourselves. And that is a fact that we start to resent what we're doing, how we're doing it, and who we're doing it for
Right.
when we're doing it for everybody else and not ourselves. And when circumstances arise that are difficult,
Mm-hmm.
uh, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, we don't have anything to draw on
Right.
because we've given it all away,
Right.
to the people that we care about, love, or like I said, even our jobs.
Right. And so now we get stuck in this situation where you get in a marriage that you're really not sure, that you want to be in, and then you get stuck in relationships. I mean, it's so much stuff that happens. And it's like when so many things are coming at you, and I know that's like the biggest thing for like everybody. When there's so many things coming at you and you just don't know what to do, you always feeling like you can't get ahead. Like every time you try to do something, it can be any situation, you are already telling yourself, I hope it works out, I want
Yeah,
it to work out, but really you're like, this shit ain't gonna work out. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So
yeah.
you really don't know. It's like a lot of us just don't know how much our thinking impacts most of our
That's
circumstances.
right.
You know?
That's right. Because until you change, until we all change the way that we think, then our circumstances won't change.
Right.
So, thinking is actually the number one thing that has to be corrected
Mm-hmm.
because get these negative thoughts. And if we don't challenge the negative thoughts and we continue to allow them to grow, uh, just like an infectious disease, they get worse and they get worse. And we're not able to see our way out.
Right. But some people don't even know that they have, these negative thoughts. You don't even know that you have this kind of psyche.
Right,
You know what I'm saying?
right,
Like, you think that what you're experiencing is just your experience.
right,
You don't, nobody has told you that what you're thinking is not correct or is not right. You're
right,
the only thing that you know is that it didn't work out for my mom,
right.
so I know it ain't gonna work out for me.
Mhm.
Or I hope this relationship works out. Or everything that's coming at me, this man is bothering me, the kids are going crazy, everything is going crazy, but I'm trying to keep it all together. But you don't know. So how do you, for a person who doesn't who is really not aware
Mhm.
that they have these kind of thoughts, like what are some of the things that when everything is coming at you, what are some of the things that you can do or say?
Well, the first thing is you have to be aware.
You gotta put
And
the mic up
just
just a little
you
bit.
have to be aware. And just by learning what we're talking about here is really learned behavior. You're not born knowing that this is something that you need to do, and it
Right.
unfortunately hasn't been taught in school, and because people don't know.
Right.
But you have to begin to know that you're having these negative thoughts. You have to be aware that you are getting these negative thoughts. And sometimes these thoughts can just pop up out of nowhere.
Right.
They're automatic.
Right.
It's not anything that you have asked for.
Right.
They'll just show up.
Right.
But because they show up, it doesn't mean that your thoughts are correct or
Correct.
accurate.
Correct.
And so that's where we have to begin to challenge our thoughts and asking ourselves, what's the evidence of this thought?
Right.
Am I mind reading? Am I
Right.
fortune telling?
Right.
And so you have to become aware, then you have to challenge those thoughts.
Right. And guys, that's one of the things that I wanted to let you guys know and wanted Miss Jackie to go over is when you're going through circumstances and when things are happening, the first thing you have to do is be aware of your thoughts. And when she is talking about, are you mind reading? Are you fortune telling? I'm going to let her go ahead and explain what some of those things are. Because when I say that it really helps you, it really does help you as you're going through whatever it is that you're going through. Because most of the time, the stuff that you're going through is stuff that you can actually change if you change your thinking,
That's where it begins.
right?
That's exactly where it begins, because if we allow the thoughts just to happen, or if we allow the negative thoughts to just wander in our minds, it will affect what we feel. See, our
Right.
thoughts affect what we feel.
Correct.
What we feel affects what we do.
Right.
So there's a connection where we have to interrupt, because if we don't challenge our thoughts, then it will definitely impact on what we're feeling and what our behavior is going to look like. Now, when I'm talking about challenging your thoughts, for example, mind reading, when you have a thought about someone else, what they're doing or what they're not doing, and in your mind, you've already decided what they're thinking.
Right. In your mind. If
And
it, you know,
not
in your mind, not their mind, in your mind.
not
Okay.
not and it's a lot of times it's not even true.
Right.
And that's what I was saying about a lot of times our thoughts are incorrect.
Right.
And I'm speaking from a personal place
Right.
of experience where I thought I knew what you were thinking or
Right.
anybody else was thinking, and I was way out in left field.
Right.
And that made that took me to my feelings and impacted my feelings, and made me do and say some things that were out of order.
Right.
So it's a
Hmm.
process. And then, like fortune telling, pretty much the same process I'm talking about, because sometimes we can decide, for example, if you're on your way home from work and you start to say, well, once I get in the house, the kids, are going to be all over the place. The house is going to be dirty and nobody's going to even know that I'm home.
Yeah.
And so when you get home, that's exactly what's happening,
Right.
because you called it into existence for one,
Right.
but you're fortune telling. You're
Right.
deciding what it's going to look like even before you get there.
Right. Yeah. Just-
Yeah, and another example, I like this one a lot,
Uh,
where you might have a supervisor or boss, whatever you call it,
uh,
that you go to work, and normally when you go into work, you say, "Hey, good morning, how you doing? Everybody's good." And then, one day you walk into work and you say, "Hey, good morning," to your boss or supervisor, "How you doing?" And he or she doesn't speak, and then, we get in our feelings. We
sure
take
do.
things personally.
Real quick.
And so, that's a big one,
Right.
taking it personal.
Yeah, that's
But
me.
me too.
That's me.
It takes practice to work on
Uh-huh.
this thing.
Uh-huh.
But, you go in and you assume, well, what's wrong with her?
Mm-hmm.
Why is she acting this way today? And you're all in your feelings and everything. And it has nothing to do with you,
Right.
because we're taking it personal. We think it does. And it could just be she's constipated, you know?
Right. Right.
Yeah. And she just doesn't feel like having this conversation today, or good. It's not a good morning. We don't know what she came home, where she came from,
Yeah.
what it was like for her when she was leaving her house. She might have just got some news from her supervisor or boss that she's going to lose her job, financial problem. And a lot of times we take things so personally. And I think we're all uh, guilty of that
I
until we
am.
learn, and not just learn, but practice it more and more. But it's worth practicing. It's worth
It is.
learning.
Like I take a lot of stuff personal only because I am I don't know, because I feel that if I ask somebody to do something and you know, it doesn't happen or anything like that, my feelings get hurt.
Yeah,
And it might not be that they did it on purpose,
right,
but I just take it personal. Or if
right,
somebody says something
right.
to me that I don't like, I'm like, yeah, I'm taking that shit person. I'm
Yeah,
taking it personal because, I don't know, but knowing that, you know, now that I've learned, from you, when I become aware of my thoughts and what I'm
yeah,
thinking, I go through the steps. I tell myself, I said, okay, am I taking this personal? And the answer is most of the time, yes, right?
yeah,
Most of the time is yes,
yeah,
because I mean, I feel hurt, or I
mhm,
feel whatever it is that I'm feeling, angry,
yeah,
anything like that. And then that's when all the other steps come into play. I start fortune telling, I start doing all
yeah.
kind of things,
Have it all figured out before it even
all
happens,
right.
right?
But
Yeah,
what happens is, and what we need to know is that that's how you create the drama, because by the time that you've done all of those things, right now you got all these circumstances going on, right? And so now
yeah,
what it's like, guys, what you will realize is that when all hell is breaking loose with
hmm,
you, usually most of the stuff, and we don't like to hear this, most of the stuff we caused because of our negative thinking,
that's
you
right.
know so when you say all hell is breaking loose, the kids are acting this, everybody is doing this.
Hmm.
Now some of those things we can't control,
Right,
because and I know you'll get to that, where we can't control other
right.
people, and we can't control what they do or say,
That's right.
or how they react to us.
That's right.
And Miss Jackie says this over and over again, which you guys will know, is that the only thing we can control is ourselves.
And that's a job.
That's
That's a really big job.
yes.
And when oh gosh, it took me a long time to get to this. I'm sitting here and I'm talking about it with you all. and I'm sharing. But when I'm talking to you, I'm talking to me too,
Correct.
because it takes practice, it takes work
Right.
but I finally realized and learned that I only have control over myself. And I can only control my own thoughts. I can only control my own feelings, and I can only control my behavior. And I thought, forever that I can control everybody else's
Right.
too.
Exactly.
And but I was out of order the entire time.
Right.
Because if you think about it, how can you control anybody's thoughts, feelings, or behavior?
Right.
Even our children, as they're growing, we want to control their thoughts and feelings and behavior, and they kind of do what they want to,
Right.
and say what they want to.
Right.
But when we learn that, it's a healthy thing, because it begins to give us power
Correct.
that stays with us.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're in power, it puts you in a place of peace.
Right.
And so when the circumstances, the difficult circumstances show up, you can begin to operate and function from a place of peace.
Mm-hmm.
And but if you're trying to control others, then you're not in order with your own self.
Right.
And how you can begin to manage in difficult situations and circumstances becomes very, very difficult. And like you said, unnecessarily so.
Mm-hmm.
And so our goal, which we can talk about that for a few hours,
Right.
is to get to this place of peace.
Right.
And it sounds like I'm saying it might seem easy, but it's not.
It's not.
It's not,
It's not.
because things, the storms are going on around you.
Mm-hmm.
Just like in a hurricane,
Mm-hmm.
the wind is blowing, the rain is going sideways. But what I've learned is that even in the storm, we can be in this place of peace, just like
Mm-hmm.
in the eye of a hurricane.
Right.
It's the most peaceful place you can be. And when we stay in that place, we're able to think clearly.
Right.
We're able to draw on the source of our strength,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just necessary to begin to start with, even, I don't care who you're married to, how long you've been married, boyfriend, friends, family. Just, begin to just take charge of your own thoughts and your own feelings and behavior.
Right.
And when someone tries to tell you what to think, right? Then you need to give it back to them and say, well, those are your thoughts. Those are not mine.
Right.
Or if someone wants to begin to tell you what you should feel,
Right.
give it back to them.
Right.
Those are your feelings,
Right.
not mine. And the
Mm.
same thing with the behavior and actions. That's, they want to tell you what you should do and how you should do it.
Right.
And that was me forever.
Right.
I'm still practicing.
Me too.
But it's important to give it back to people. That's what
Mm-hmm.
you would do,
Right.
and not me.
Right.
And believe it or not, my adult children helped me to learn this. They taught me how to treat them.
Really.
Yeah. And so I had to learn and rethink, you know,
Uh.
and it was, and that's one of the things we can learn from anybody
Right.
at any time. And we
Right.
just have to be open.
Right.
Yeah.
Hmm. Karen, I see you. So, guys, I appreciate everyone being here, and we actually have a guest that we're going to talk to. Her name is Karen Bryce, and
Hi, Karen.
Karen, she's going to tell a little bit of her story.
Okay.
And Karen, you'll be able to chat back and forth with us, okay?
Good.
So I'm going to go ahead and bring you on real quick, and we're going to get you going, okay? All right. And then you let me know if you can hear us. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Oh, and you look so pretty.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Hi, Karen.
Hi, how are you?
I am well.
This
Thank
is Miss
you.
Jackie, Karen.
Hi,
And
Miss Jackie.
we're talking about how we can overcome our circumstances. And I want you to explain your story right quick.
Okay, so the short version.
Or you can give us the long version. It's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I want to
Uh,
know all the details.
Yeah.
all the details. Okay, so when I was 7 years old, my mom, who I love dearly, and we have done our work together to get back to a space of love and affection and compassion. She, had to make certain choices, which was leaving me behind when she moved to the United States. I'm originally from Trinidad and Tobago.
Hmm.
So she got her papers and she couldn't take me to the US with her. So she made a choice of leaving me with my grandparents. And I, of course, at 7 years old, didn't know what was happening. All I knew is I was taken by one of her friends to this house. I was told walk up the steps and
Mm.
tell the people in the we call it veranda,
Hmm.
um, that your mother sent you. And I did that. And now, as a little child, you don't know what's happening,
Right.
and you're telling strangers your mom sent you. And little do you know that's the last time you will see or hear from your mom.
Lord.
And now you have to try and figure out who these people are.
Mm,
You just don't know what's going on, and you're hurt. My grandparents, those people were my grandparents, and they did the best they could because this, I just appeared. So they had to figure out now how to take care of a 7-year-old. And as I
Mm.
said, I love my uncles and my aunts and my grandparents because they took over. And as I said, they did the best that they could. But, there was still so much issues already. I started school late and
Mm.
I ended up not getting that foundation. And so school was very hard for me. I could not retain the information. I could not grasp the information, so I felt dumb.
mm,
I
Mm.
felt like I just wasn't bright enough, to be in school. So that was an issue. And then at 11 years old, my dad, he who lived in the United States, he moved back to Trinidad with his new wife and daughter, and I moved with them. So now here I am getting to know a whole bunch of new people taken away from my grandparents.
Right.
And that was a tough transition to make. And I end up having vertigo. What is
Mm.
vertigo? It's a lack of skin pigmentation. So it's an autoimmune, and your autoimmune is doing what it's supposed to do, but it's doing it the wrong way. So it was attacking the color of my skin. So I started getting white patches on my eyes, my knees, my elbows. Now, all these issues, you're 11 years old, already confused about yourself,
Correct.
carrying all these hurts and pains. And now you have to deal with something that's on your skin, and everywhere you go,
That you
people are
can't
looking
control
at
either.
you. Yes, exactly.
Right.
People are looking at you, they're pointing at you, they're talking about you. So that destroys you emotionally and mentally. Vertigo, it's not a life-threatening disease, but it's an emotional and a social disorder.
Mm.
So there goes, I mean, my whole inside was just, going every which way, to, work, figure out as a child, how do you figure out stuff? How do you deal with stuff like that?
Right.
yeah.
And
So
so
that,
and that's what we were talking about where we were talking about values before you came on. It's like the values that you had when before you came were like the values that you brought with you. So now as a kid, and you can speak on this, Miss Jackie, the emotion that you have, and now you got a autoimmune disease. How do you deal with all of that? Because that is something you can't control. Y- You moving, uh, with your dad and then grandparents and everything is something you can't control. right?
That's
Because
right.
you're a kid.
That's right.
How does that affect you in the way in which you are able to continue to live a good life? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, first of all, Karen, you're here
Right.
Yeah.
and you're well. Uh,
Thank you.
but I can't imagine what it must have been like for you at 7 years old, being separated from your mom. But
Mm-hmm.
I want to say this much. Your mom you said that she made a choice.
Yes.
The choice and decision that she made was probably the choice and decision that she had to make.
Mm-hmm.
She was doing the best that she could at that time with
Yes.
what she was working with.
Mm.
And a
Mm-hmm.
lot
Oh,
of
yes.
times we look back and don't realize that our parents have made some decisions that we didn't like or we didn't agree with that hurt us, but they were doing the best that they could at that time. And that was one of the things that helped me even when I look back on my childhood. So just understand that much, but it doesn't take away the fact you were still 7 years old, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and
Mm-hmm.
then 11 years old, and having to, you know, be with new people and adapt to that. And obviously you did, but it doesn't take away what you're feeling about that until you process it, because it was traumatic.
Hmm.
and
Right.
and
It,
yeah, and then you have a physical issue, and that affected your self-esteem. And like you said, kids are just can be really hard on each other. But
mm-hmm.
as you grow, it still goes back to how you're thinking. It still goes back to how you're thinking and
Mm-hmm.
how you think of yourself.
Yes.
See, I'm a believer that when we were created, the way that we were designed was not a mistake. And so when you were born, even before you were born, I believe that you were equipped already to manage and to handle all of the circumstances that you have been and continue to experience. But your thinking is where it begins, where you might want to begin to make some changes about how you think of yourself when those negative thoughts come, like you feel like everybody's looking at you, or everybody's thinking that, oh, she doesn't look right or
Right.
sound right, whatever. Those are their thoughts. Those aren't yours unless you allow them to be. So you have the control. There's a model. I've seen a couple of models that had very serious burns and
Hmm.
other issues, and they model. They
Yes.
hold their heads up. They own who they are. And they
Mm-hmm.
own who they are with pride and with thanksgiving. They're grateful. You
Yeah.
understand? And when you begin to be grateful for what you do have, rather than think a lot about what you don't have and who you are not,
Right.
that changes everything when you have and bring in those grateful thoughts, especially at the time when you're having negative thoughts.
Right. Right.
Miss Jackie, you're a woman of my, you're saying exactly all the things that, with the work that I have done
Good.
Mm.
to be here tonight and to
Absolutely.
feel, and actually my mom's name is Jackie also.
Oh,
Okay. There's a connection.
let me
I
tell you, she
believe
has that
it.
effect. I'm telling
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree totally with you. I
Yeah.
mean, it has taken me a while
Yes.
to really get to a place of understanding, as you said, that I am more than this body, first of all.
Come on,
That's
Karen.
right.
Yes.
I'm more than this body, and my self-worth
Yes.
doesn't depend on anything
That's right.
outside of myself because
That's
something greater than myself,
that's
may you call it God, source, universe,
that's right.
whatever you want to call it, created me.
That's right. That's
And
right.
when I was created perfect.
Mm.
Absolutely. And there's this song I listen to. I listen to a lot of uplifting gospel music, Christian music, and then there's this song that I just think it fits very well with what you've been talking about. And the bottom line is the song says, "I don't look at what I was. I look at who I can be."
Beautiful. Love it. Yes.
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
Mm.
And that's how, like you said, whether it's God, Allah, or whoever, whatever one believes in. But for me, it's how God sees me, not how I see me or
Right.
how I was. Because if I just stay stuck on that, then I can become really disappointed,
Right.
guilty,
Hmm.
ashamed, low self worth, low self
Mhm.
esteem, because I can think of all of the things that I did or did not do, or
Right.
say or did not say, or what someone did to me, and, blaming, which is
Yes.
terrible to do, even. But I really want to commend you because you look well, you
Thank
sound
you.
well, and the fact that you can
It's been a journey.
about it.
Hmm.
It has been a journey of reprogramming and shifting my
Yeah.
consciousness.
And I want
Ooh,
to
I
know
like that.
how long did it take you to get to this point? And also, what was the breaking point for you? Because that is what a lot of people who are watching, who are going through
Yeah.
circumstances right now, what was the breaking point for you where you said enough is enough? Like I need to take charge of myself.
Yeah.
And how long did it take you to get to this point?
The breaking point for me is I felt empty inside.
Mm-hmm.
And although I was, living life, working, going to school, having friends, doing all the things I was supposed to do, there was still an emptiness there.
Mm-hmm.
There was still a lack there. And also, I knew deep down inside that I had a purpose
Oh,
and
Mm.
a
yeah.
passion.
There it is.
And in order for me to tap into that passion, I knew I had to step out of my negative beliefs.
That's
Mm.
right.
And that passion was driving me crazy because I
Good
tried
for
to
you.
deny
Yes.
it.
Yes.
I tried to deny it and push it down and scuff it down, but that force was in me was so strong that I felt desperate.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
felt a desperation that I needed to change.
Mm.
And
Mm.
it didn't happen overnight. It took many, many years to get where I am now. And I'm still evolving. I'm still growing. I feel for myself, I can only speak for myself, is that you never stop growing or learning,
That's right.
And so I'm still growing and I'm still learning. And it is a daily process of mentally
Right.
That's
programming myself every day, with meditation, with
good.
prayer, with gratitude, with affirmations.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it took a while. It took a long time. And I thought I was ready, when I became a life coach. I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I know everything now and I'm going to coach my clients but I was like, okay, something is still missing because I'm not connecting with myself or with them.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
How am I helping my clients if I'm not even connected to myself, that I'm
Mhm.
disconnected from myself? Because I was doing all the research, doing all the seminars, reading all the right books, doing all the right things to know the information,
That's right.
Right.
but I was not doing the work myself.
Mm.
But it sounds like actually you were, by just doing the research and the reading.
Right, unconsciously.
Exactly, because I always tell people when I'm sharing or teaching, I'm not only talking to you, I'm talking to myself as
You're
well.
so right.
You
You're
know,
so
see, that's all part of us having to
Having
take care of ourselves.
right,
Nobody is perfect,
right.
right? And so we're a work in progress. And the best thing I heard you say, Karen, was about how you became aware that you needed to make a change. That's
Mm-hmm.
important because
Mhm.
sometimes a lot of people live and die never making that change or even never
Yes.
becoming aware or not
Yes.
having the desire or the passion or the purpose that you spoke of. And see, that's part of what I was telling you about how uh, God already equipped you. And see,
Everything.
that purpose was put inside of you.
Yes.
And that's why it kept showing up, Karen. It kept showing up,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yes.
It wore
I
you out.
couldn't
It wore
resist
you
it.
out to the point where you was like, "Look, I need to change something
Yeah.
about."
Yes.
Yeah. The work, it's a progress. It just takes time.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't happen overnight, I mean, but one other thing that you talked about, Karen, I think I'd like to point out how important it is that you did this, was you began to fill yourself with positive thinking and behaviors and habits,
Right.
right? And so you were pouring in, and if we don't pour in what we need,
Mm-hmm.
to ourselves spiritually, physically, emotionally, who's going to do it?
Yes.
And what will we have to give away? We
Right.
can't give something away if we don't have it.
Right.
Mhm. I agree totally. It's like feeding your body. We have to eat food every day,
That's
right? So we have to feed our mind, our spirit
that's
every
right.
day too. It's a garden that we have to nourish if it's going to
That's right.
flourish.
That's right.
That's right.
Do you have people that that you can share with, and that will uplift each other? That I find that to be very helpful as well, because you can wake up and feel a little down or not well, and there's always someone in the group that is right
Right
there,
there. Mm-hmm.
to uplift you and to help you get back on track sometimes.
Yes, I do actually. I have, a friend that I talk to every day, and also I have a Facebook page.
Oh,
And
good.
on there, it's called Soulful Self-Love Coaching.
Uh-huh.
And on there, I post inspirational quotes every day. And I do a little, just a little write up on it. But I always tell the ladies on there, I said, these quotes are actually for me.
Right.
They're for my daily, programming, but I'm sharing it with you just in case there may be a word or a sentence, or you may just like the picture,
Right.
but just sharing it with them. So by doing that every day, it helps me
Right.
to
Good.
stay focused
Good.
because I need it. I need to be inspired every day. I need the
Yeah.
words of wisdom, and that's how I survive and my connection with God, with
Yeah.
source.
Yeah.
And that's a another thing to point out too, because since we're talking about, how to overcome circumstances and just having the correct thinking.
Mhm.
When you look back, Karen, and you think of most of the things that you went through, what are some of the things that you did to be able to get yourself back into alignment and back
Mm,
into your peace?
good question.
A lot of things, I started off with, as I said, reading a lot of motivational, inspirational books.
Mm-hmm.
I started going to seminars and workshops. I started looking at YouTube, so many Wayne Dyer, Deepak Chopra,
Good.
Eckhart Tolle. I
Good.
mean, so many people. I just started feeding myself with all these inspirational videos. Then I started meditating
Good.
Mm.
Yeah.
day I meditate. And for me, meditation at first was hard because I thought that I had to spend an hour. I thought I had to be perfect meditating. But then I learned that meditation, there's so many different ways to meditate. And you don't
That's
have to spend an hour meditating. You can
that's
spend
right.
as little as a minute meditating.
That's right.
You,
Mhm.
yeah, you can do it in the shower. You can do it while walking. You can do it in the car. So gratitude, being grateful every day for my blessings.
Good.
Another thing that I do is affirmations. Also, I connect with nature. Being in nature is very important for
Yes,
me
it
because
is.
I believe it's
Yes, it
all
is. That's my
energy. And
thing. Yep.
yes,
That's
it's all energy, and
mm,
we're energy, and we're connected to this planet and
that's
nature.
Hmm.
that's right. That's right.
So that's and that's what I wanted to point out for everybody who's listening is that in order for you to start overcoming these challenges, especially when so many things are coming at you,
Hmm.
what you keep hearing over and over again is that you have to make a conscious effort
Hmm.
to choose you first,
To choose you
Yeah.
first.
to get yourself built up,
Yeah.
to get yourself back into alignment in a position where
Hmm.
you just be able to think
That's right.
and to come up with solutions to
Right.
all of these things that are coming at
Right.
you,
Right.
because if you're not in that space and you're staying in that space of chaos, if you're
Mm.
staying in that negative thinking,
Hmm.
if you're staying in that space where you are so confused,
Hmm.
it doesn't do nothing but get bigger,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? It
Mhm.
doesn't do nothing but grow.
Right.
So meditation,
Hmm.
being aware of your thoughts,
Hmm.
changing your values,
Right.
choosing you first
Hmm.
is the way that you start to overcome these challenges.
That's
Because
right.
if everything starts with your thoughts,
Hmm.
and if everything around you is coming at you,
Hmm.
everything that is being presented to you, you can say started from a thought
That's right.
or somebody else's thought,
That's right.
Mhm. Mhm.
right?
Yes.
And like Ms. Jackie said, if you can't control somebody
Hmm.
and you can only control yourself,
Hmm.
the things that they do, even if it affects you, it cannot affect you unless you allow it
Unless we
to.
give it permission, right?
So if you give it permission to come to you, and if
Hmm.
you give it permission to go ahead and let all hell break loose in there, then that means, like you say, Miss Jackie, you lost your
You
power.
lost your power. You
Yes.
lost
Yes.
control.
You lost
Mhm.
control and you lost your power.
And we, Karen, and everybody that's listening, when we change our behavior, everything and everyone around us changes theirs,
Hmm.
Amen.
or they move out of your space,
Yeah.
out, out of your way,
Right.
right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so, but we have that control. We have to work towards gaining that control and gaining the peace. And once you get that peace, you have to protect it.
Hmm.
Yes. That
Right?
peace. That peace is that inner peace
Yes,
is so, so valuable.
it is. It
So
is.
valuable. And you have to work, as you said, Miss Jackie, at protecting it.
You
Hmm.
do. You have to
At
protect
all
it.
costs. And that's what I was saying to Miss Jackie earlier, Karen. It's like, we as women, we don't put ourselves first.
Right.
So we would sacrifice our peace.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
We
Just
would
give it up.
sacrifice our peace. But if we know, if we know
I know.
that we are, if we decide to go ahead and put ourselves first,
Yeah.
if we decide to become aware of our thoughts and to do those things to keep ourselves built
Mhm.
up and to change our behavior,
Yeah.
then we start to discover that peace that you're talking
It
about.
it 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 happens. It happens. And it's
Mhm.
because it's your peace.
Correct.
And when you get to that point where you understand that you are the one that is controlling it, and not to say other things and other people can come in and can maybe bring some chaos or
Yeah.
some other things that you don't want in your space, you still have control to decide whether or not that's something you're going to allow in. Even if it's somebody, that you're a roommate you're living with,
Right.
um, you know, we've got to find a place in a space where we can get to this place of peace and it's about peace within. It's not the peace out there, it's the peace within.
Right.
Mm.
And then, we can make some decisions for ourselves,
Hmm.
whether, in order to protect our peace, whether or not we're going to allow situations or people in this space that can interfere with our peace. Sometimes we got to love people from a distance,
Oh,
Hmm.
wow.
even
Yes.
if we're related, even if we're related to them.
Yes.
Sometimes we just have to love people from a distance. I'm sure all of us have family
Oh,
members that,
absolutely.
we
Sure.
really love, but
Hmm.
we have to love them from a distance
Distance.
because the chaos that they bring will interfere with your peace.
Correct.
Yes. Yes. And
Hmm.
you bless them.
Among some other things.
Why are you loving them from a distance? You bless
Right.
them.
So, Miss Jackie, we got people who are saying, tell them about the ants.
Oh, wow. Well, we kind of talked about it. Ants are just what we said, automatic negative thoughts. And I mean, there's actually teaching on that and a lot of
Hmm.
instruction on that. And I can't begin. We don't have enough time to
Right.
talk about it. Maybe I can come back and we can, really just focus on that. But it's about negative thinking and about how our thoughts affect us. Our
Mhm.
thoughts are these negative thoughts. See, when we get a negative thought, it just doesn't affect our thinking and what we feel and behave. It affects us physically.
Correct.
Yes.
It affects every negative thought we have affects every single cell in our body. And when you
Absolutely.
think about that, that's kind of scary
Right.
because that's why a lot of people die of this silent killer they call stress,
Right.
because they haven't been able to manage their negative thinking. And so I don't want to talk too much more about that because that'll take up a lot of time.
Right.
But I'd be happy to come back
Oh,
and where we
absolutely.
can talk about it, some
Absolutely.
more. But it's a really good subject and teach. And the last thing I'm gonna say about that is anybody that you talk to that is successful in their lives, and I don't mean successful about money, or because you can be successful in your life and lives in many ways, but people who are successful that you might look at celebrities or ball players or just everyday people that they understand what it means about the negative thinking and how important it is to replace your negative thinking.
Right.
And we're talking also about the law of attraction
Right.
when we're talking about gratitude as well. So we
Mm.
have a lot we can talk about later, but
Right.
Yeah.
So, guys, we're gonna actually wrap this up for tonight. I know it was such a wealth of information and everything. Karen, I thank you so much for
thank
being
you.
here with us. We would love to have you
Thank
back so we
you
can
Yes.
do
so
more
much.
discussion. And
Yes.
guys, Miss Jackie will be back. She has uh, officially said that she will be a part of our community where we'll be able to go ahead and do some work in
Yeah.
small groups and also do a lot of webinars and different um, seminars with us. So I am so happy about that, and I can't
Thank
wait
you.
for that to
It's
happen.
my pleasure.
Yes, and Miss Jackie,
Absolutely.
thank you so much
Oh,
for
you're
being
welcome.
here.
You're
I love her.
welcome. You're
Guys,
Mm.
welcome.
once you get to know this lady, I promise you, I'm telling you that she will actually change your life. And she's a straight shooter, so she will tell you the truth,
Yeah.
and that's something that you need.
True.
You need someone who's going to be able to tell you the truth so you know exactly how to start to change your thoughts and do different things. So guys, thank you so much. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. Please like, comment, share, tell your friends. I will definitely let you guys know when we do this again. And I appreciate you guys. I love all of you guys. Make sure you check us out. We're going to have this on iTunes, Spotify, everything. So you could take us with you in your car and listen to everything. So thank you so much, guys. And I'll see
Great.
you.
Good
Thank
night.
Thank
you.
you again.
Thank you, guys. Good night, ladies.
All righty.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.